Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday to all. And welcome to the final debate of the Student Competition 2025. I am your host, Chair of Academic Relations, Ashley Mangar. And here I am with my fellow colleagues that are also hosts for this competition, Ikra Malik.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining.
And also Eugene Levin, who is our treasurer and founder of the student competition.
Hello, everybody.
Alrighty. Um, Today we have quite a few judges and our final two contestants for the final debate. So quickly for the judges, may I please ask you guys to unmute yourselves for a little bit and just quickly introduce who you are and what you do and which company you work for. I will start with you, Tim.
Hey everyone, I'm Tim Mortimer. I'm the president of the ISACA New York chapter. My day job, I'm with Mandian and working in cybersecurity as part of Google.
Thank you, Tim. Alex?
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Bazet. I'm a Chief Information Security Officer for company Aligned Communications, and I'm also a board member of ISACA New York chapter. Welcome, everyone. Happy to see you here, everyone. Sorry for the voice.
Thank you, Alex. Sanjeev?
Hi, everyone. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for the Transformation Group. I also manage the architecture department. And welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. David Chang?
David Chang, an auditor, infrastructure auditor at MUFG Bank.
Thank you, David. Steve?
Good morning, everyone. Stephen Hochberg, Associate Director with Protiviti, focused on cybersecurity auditing. Good luck this morning, and nice to see all of you.
Audi?
Hi, everyone. I'm Audi Bautista, Executive Vice President of Security Operations at Thrive, which is a global managed services security provider.
Thank you. Gehan?
Hey guys, I lead the INAM function, Identity and Access Management for Fidelity Investments. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Alex Ambrov?
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Abramov, and you're the head of information risk in one of the banks, and had the title at 5 different banks over the last 18 years. Formerly a past president of ISACA New York Metropolitan Chapter.
Thank you, Alex. Ruchi?
You said Ruchi, right? I saw another person come on. Good morning, Ruchi Shivramani. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for a healthcare agency in the state of Washington. And I'm also the Academics Director for ISACA board in Greater Washington, D.C. area. Good luck to all the teams.
Hi, I'm Sushila Nair, and I am the president of ISACA Greater Washington, D.C., and I am a consultant at Cybernetic.
Thank you, Sushila. Christina Cruz?
Hi, everyone. Christina Cruz, Director of Cybersecurity at Advanced Publications. I'm very excited to hear the competition today. Good luck, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Mike Gillespie?
Hello, everyone. Mike Gillespie here, Audit Director at Wells Fargo.
Thank you, Mike. Barry Dinkin?
I'm Barry Dinkin. I'm the Director of the American Cybersecurity Institute and cybersecurity attorney.
Thank you, Barry.
Excited to be here.
Neil?
Yeah, hi, I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for SiteRx, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Is there any judges that I'm missing?
Radhika here. Excited to meet you all today virtually. I'm currently Executive Director, Information Security, Governance, Risk and Compliance at College Board. So I lead the second line of defense function, and excited to watch and be on the judges panel for today's debate. Good luck to both the teams.
Thank you, Radhika. Am I missing any other judges? Perfect. Okay, so just some housekeeping items for our participants here today. I would like all of you guys to just quickly take a look at your screen just to make sure that you guys are all muted at this time. We really don't want any interruptions, especially when our students are brainstorming and working on their response as they're speaking to us. And also, since this session is recorded, we also don't want to hear any background noise, and we want to pay close attention to our speakers for today's session. So just take one quick second to take a look, make sure you're muted. And great. I would like to have the team captains now to quickly introduce themselves and their team and state which team you're representing. So I think we'll start with Team Leveraging Consulting.
Yes, my name is Brandon, Team Captain Leverage Consulting, and together with Felix and Alicia, we are Leverage Consulting representing Queen College.
Thank you. And now CipherCore.
Hi everyone, my name is Haley. My team is CipherCore, consisting of myself, Brian, Gio, Isaac, Winnie, and Azan, and we're all from Binghamton University.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, teams. Now I will pass it on to Ikra Malik, who's going to take us over through the debate topic and the format for today's session. Ikra?
Thank you so much, Ashley. Hi, everyone. My name is Ikra Malik, and I'm the co-chair of academic relations here at the ISACA New York Metropolitan Chapter. And I'm so glad to have you all here with us today. I'm going to give a brief overview of the debate topic and format, the rules and expectations, and kick off the event with a virtual coin flip. So as for the debate topic and format, we will be discussing strategic partnerships for enhanced security, our collaborations with other cybersecurity firms, such as partnership between CyberArk and Wiz, the most effective strategy for enhancing multi-cloud security. Each team is expected to provide both pro and con arguments for the prompt, and the first team to respond with opening statements will be chosen at the start of the event via a virtual coin flip, which I will get into in a few minutes. As for rules and expectations, I just wanted to go over them just so that everybody is aware. As for team participation, all team members must speak at some point during the presentation as for opening statements, rebuttals, and closing arguments. And as for time limits, we ask that the teams adhere to the following time limits. So for opening statements, each team is allowed 7 minutes. For the rebuttal round, each team has 6 minutes. For closing arguments, each team has 6 minutes, and we will allot 30 minutes towards the end for any judges' questions. And just to note, there will be a timer on the screen for the teams and everybody to be aware of how much time the team has left. And as Ashley said, just as virtual etiquette, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. And if you have any questions or technical difficulties, please just drop it in the chat box on this call, and either Ashley and I will respond. And now, as for the virtual coin flip, without further ado, give me 1 second. It's on my other screen here. 1 second. All right. So I just wanted to start off and ask the team captains, is there anybody specifically who wants to be heads? Any volunteers?
We'll be heads.
Okay, awesome. Give me 1 second. So as a note, Leverage Consulting is heads and CipherCore is tails. So I'm going to randomly flip. So tails. So CipherCore, you will be going first with your opening statement. I'm going to just take a note of that. And just for reference, you will also be Team A since you are going first. And Leverage Consulting, you are Team B, okay? Okay.
So Team A is going to be for the proposition.
Yes. Thank you, Eugene. So for Team A, you will be giving opening statement for the motion, and for Team B, you will be going against the motion. Thank you, Eugene. So now we can get started. Before I move on, Ashley, Eugene, is there anything I'm missing right now? Or are we good? Because I'm going to get the timer started. CipherCore for your opening statement when you will have 7 minutes. Okay. All right, whenever you're ready, CipherCore, you can get started. Your timer starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we affirm that strategic partnerships between cybersecurity firms, like the alliance between CyberArk and Wiz, are the most effective strategy for enhancing multi-cloud security. Our framework today will explore this by examining both technological benefits and business implications of these partnerships. As we see cloud adoption continues to surge, with over 90% of enterprises now operating across multiple platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, and more, the cybersecurity teams face both fragmented architectures and escalating threats. We can see this in the World Economic Forum's Cyber Outlook and ISACA's COVID guidance, that they emphasize the need for both coordinated, multi-layered defenses and also a strong risk-aligned governance model. So all in all, no single vendor can fully protect the identity, cloud infrastructure, and data layer all at the same time. So strategic partnerships address these challenges by offering convenience, unified visibility, and ability to close skill gaps by combining the specialized tools and sharing critical expertise. In an environment where threats are faster and also more complex, collaboration isn't just helpful, but it's an effective approach for securing the cloud. So within our debate remarks today, we'll be discussing 2 points. We'll look at how convenience and visibility are enhanced through strategic collaboration. And 2, we'll explain how partnerships are essential for closing the cybersecurity skill gap. So starting off, strategic partnerships provide both convenience and enhanced visibility across cloud environments. So from a technical perspective, when CyberArk collaborates with firms like Wiz, it gains like immediate access to specialized cloud native capabilities without needing to develop them in-house. So this not only saves them operational costs, but also time, and also avoids steep learning curve from implementing any unfamiliar technologies. So surveys from Tripwire found that 84% of security professionals actually struggle with maintaining consistent configurations across multiple cloud platforms. Which is an issue that partnerships directly address by integrating the complementary tools. On a business side, these collaborations diversify operational and financial risk, which allows organizations to maintain performance and flexibility even during economic uncertainty. Actually, a Harvard Business Review notes that partnerships can boost commercial outcomes during downturns by sharing resources and accelerating innovation. So while shared vulnerability is a consideration, it can be mitigated through scoped integrations and shared protocols. In fact, partnerships can improve resiliency by providing early insights into attacks. So ultimately, the combined strength, visibility, and agility that partnerships offer result in a more informed and better resource defense posture than any single organization can build on its own. So now I'll pass it on to Haley, who'll speak more about the second argument.
Thank you, Winnie. And now, as Winnie just mentioned, I'm going to shift gears into discussion around the closing of the skill gap through partnerships. First and foremost, though, it's important to address that in this time, there's a growing need for cybersecurity professionals, with 76% of organizations actually reporting a critical shortage in these cloud security skills, as according to Fortinet's 2024 Global Skills Report. Now, further, it's also seen that there's an 8% year-over-year increase in the global cyber talent shortage, as also noted in the World Economics Forum that came out in 2025. Therefore, because so many businesses lack the internal capacity to manage multi-cloud environments effectively, it becomes imperative that cloud security is sought after through these partnerships. In terms of benefits, though, there's high potential to create simplified tools that are easily used by business users, which are, for the most part, intuitive, scalable, and also low code or no code entirely. And doing so, this allows for these non-technical teams, I apologize, they're not specialized to actually monitor and manage all these cloud security issues without needing that expertise to back them. And further, of course, this reduces the need for internal engineering overhead, because these specialized tasks are being automated and pushed onto integrated platforms instead, as opposed to requiring individual professionals to come in and utilize their skills to do all of this manually. So according to Wiz as well, the organizations that use integrations with CyberArk saw a 30% reduction in incident response times through automated privilege management. So further, just to wrap things up, These partnerships between CyberArk and Wiz are able to provide fast, convenient access to advanced security without needing all in-house expertise. Further, they're able to close the skills gaps, as I just mentioned, and as Winnie mentioned, also simplify multi-cloud protection for all teams.
So thank you, CipherCord. Now I will restart the timer. And
Actually, Ikra, since I have the timer
You
for
got-
the Zoom, yeah, I will take care of it.
Good,
All
good, good.
right. So we'll pass it on now to Team Leveraging Consulting to start with their opening statement, starting now.
Good morning, everyone. First off, we'd like to acknowledge the hard work that our competitors put in to make it this far. And we'd also like to acknowledge and thank the ISACA New York Metropolitan Chapter that sponsors the competition and the judges. We appreciate the hard work that it took to put this together, and we thank you for the opportunity to shine. We currently don't believe that collaboration with other cybersecurity firms is the most effective strategy for securing the multi-cloud environment. On balance, the risks far outweigh the potential benefits. We believe that with a proper acquisition strategy similar to CyberArk's, a firm could expand its capabilities and offerings while also retaining control of its intellectual property, avoiding dual accountability concerns, unknown unknowns, and minimizing further integration complexity. Finally, collaboration makes it more difficult for firms to jointly go to market. There are revenue disputes to sort out, we have to consider both cultural and strategic misalignment, and ultimately, all of these problems could sour the deal and open the firm to unnecessary legal liability and risk. We acknowledge that no single firm could provide all the services needed for identity, workload, and DevOps security, nor cloud visibility. No singular firm possesses the required expertise needed to ensure proper governance, risk management, and compliance with various laws within their areas of operation. Yet, they don't need to. They only need to have the right niche capabilities within each category to effectively secure the multi-cloud environment. Though we acknowledge the financial and temporal implications, we recommend a buy or build approach to filling the gaps in a firm's current offerings. This decision was developed by taking a resource-based view when looking at the market and creating a corporate strategy. This resource-based approach, as pioneered by Collis and Montgomery, focuses on the concept of VRIN and how VRIN resources and capabilities create and sustain a firm's competitive advantage. VRIN stands for valuable, rare, hard to imitate, and non-substitutable. Firms are able to gain and sustain their competitive advantages by leveraging these types of resources and capabilities. We do not acknowledge that this approach, in theory, allows for collaboration in cases where VRIN resources and capabilities are not organic to a firm. However, in practice, there are many risk factors and impediments associated with collaboration. The potential ramifications of a collaboration can affect a company's market share, dilute its competitive advantage, or, in a worst-case scenario, destroy an otherwise thriving business. First up, we have intellectual property. Engaging in these kinds of joint ventures could lead to disputes over intellectual property. Barriers such as unclear ownership rights, overlapping patents and trademarks, licensing conflicts, insider threats for employee turnover, poaching, patent litigation exposure concerns, and so on. And let's not forget that other firms may have legacy legal baggage that could be followed into a partnership and not just their expertise. Then we have integration complexity. There are technology and platform incompatibility issues to address. There's also security tools that need to be integrated. There could be strategic or cultural misalignment. And importantly, there's potential for disruption to existing services because of integration, which could lead to loss of consumer confidence. Dual accountability and RACI. Who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, and who's informed? If both firms are accountable, then no one is accountable. We would need to then deconflict these areas of responsibility, identify areas of overlap, determine leadership, and assemble joint teams. And all of this with increasing complexity, ambiguity, and confusion.
No one knows what they do not know. It's what we call the unknown unknowns. There are unknown 0 days, insider threats, and technical debt to consider. The true cost of integration is not known until implemented. Lastly, we have financial liability concerns. How do both firms jointly go to market? What about revenue disputes, hidden debt from the partner firm, or the unknown unknowns that would open us up to litigation, stock price fluctuation, and the loss of consumer confidence? CyberArk, on its own, can cover many of the needs in identity security. Under the authorization, it has AI-enhanced identity governance and administration and PAM. Under authentication, it covers multi-factor authentication, passwordless authentication, and secrets management, all while offering a zero-based AI-driven identity access management solution. With cloud security as our focus here today, it handles cloud privilege management, cloud posture management solution, machine ID tracking and authentication. They can have a presence in the security operations portion of the cybersecurity ecosystem also. They can offer a client threat intelligence and threat monitoring services, and even deep packet analysis technology. The thing to understand here is that you don't have to own the entire ecosystem to stop an attack. You just have to be able to interrupt the cyber attack kill chain in enough places with enough resilience in order to mitigate or avoid an attack from even the best of the EPTs. So, not only have you narrowed your attack surface, but also the number of potential attackers, ones whose patterns, methods, and motivations are pretty well documented at this point. Furthermore, you know which sectors of the market they're going to try to target and for what reasons, which means you can focus your acquisition and R&D cycles on finding out other ways to protect those particular types of companies in the multi-cloud environment. CyberArk does this alone without Wiz, even though CyberArk has a partnership with Wiz and other firms in the C3 Alliance. If all those firms disappeared tomorrow, CyberArk could secure the multi-cloud environment sufficiently without them. They can fortify it. They have the technology. They have the business resourcefulness, mental agility, and unique corporate culture needed to further reinforce security. Collaboration just makes them weaker from a cybersecurity, financial, and legal standpoint. They don't need anyone when they have the important niches covered while retaining their competitive advantage and expanding their VRIN resources and capabilities.
Thank you, Brandon and Alicia. Is there any more that you would like to add to your opening statement at this time? Or is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, teams. We're going to go into our first breakout room so you guys can communicate. Krishna, can we activate that, please? Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, so now we're going to start the rebuttal round. So we'll have Team Cypher Core. We're going to start with you guys to make your rebuttal against Team Leveraging Consulting based on the opening statement. So go ahead and take it away. Sorry, let me just get the timer 1 second. Okay, you have 6 minutes for your rebuttal. So your 6-minute timer is starting now.
While our esteemed colleagues spoke a lot about business aspects, they provided no vision or strategy. Instead, they emphasized convenience and visibility while ignoring the fact that 60% of breaches involved a human element, according to the latest data breach investigation report from 2025. Mandiant's latest trend report also notes a particularly insidious insider threat in the form of North Korean workers infiltrating Western organizations under a false identity. These identities are cultivated by the security services. And while the top firms likely are not susceptible to this type of infiltration, how do we really know? More likely, it's simple oversights like unsecured trade secrets and GitHub repositories, the failure to follow least privilege for internal database, and the like. And the World Economic Forum, our esteemed colleagues referenced, notes the continued and increased prevalence of supply chain vulnerabilities and certain fourth party risk. Brandon, if you don't mind, please tell them all about SolarWinds.
Of course. Our colleague Winnie's argument that collaboration increases convenience has a fatal flaw: the risk involved. In 2020, the SolarWinds supply chain breach made the news. This was a nation-state attack involving elements of the Russian Federation Security Service identified by MITRE as APT-29. The Russians compromised the build process of one of SolarWinds' products, Orion, which was utilized by 85% of the Fortune 500 and all 5 branches of the U.S. military, the Pentagon, State Department, NASA, the NSA, Department of Justice, and the Office of the President of the United States. Orion provided visibility throughout an organization's IT environment, and with that visibility came access. Access that APT-29 had for nearly a year before its discovery by FireEye, which noticed anomalous traffic originating from Orion. In other words, one mistake created numerous headaches, a 40% stock drop for SolarWinds within the first week of the breach making headlines, and a permanent loss in stock value, consumer confidence, and market share for the corporation. You're talking about a high of $25 down to currently $18.49, and after 5 years, they still haven't recovered. Do you have the time to wait 5 years for another attack while your competitors are out there innovating, the threat actors are getting worse and worse. You know, back in 1999, someone was a 15-year-old was able to hack into NASA, and today with AI and the ability for it to democratize the creation of malware, do you have the time to wait around? Now I'll turn it back to Felix.
Thank you, Brandon. We haven't even touched on the industrial espionage factor, but there's more important things to cover. Basic things like platform integration that hasn't been discussed. We haven't addressed integration complexity, not just on the human side, but the tech side, the government side, the legal side, the financial side. Customer integration is missing from their vision. We haven't heard anything about how they plan to bridge a skill gap, only how they intend to outsource a shortage of skills to someone else. Again, for convenience. They haven't addressed how to go to market jointly smoothly. Are they going to form a joint corporation or just rely on a legal agreement? How about patent infringement, overlapping trademarks, the poaching of your top people? There's a lot of factors to consider here. Sharing of data, development languages, responsibilities, dual accountability. There's a lot more risk involved and a lot more things to think of than convenience. And I'd like to reiterate, if you want security, you have to sacrifice convenience. There has to be a balance, and all I'm hearing, they just want to have it easy and hope nothing happens. Brandon, do you have anything else? I mean, I haven't heard anything about porters, nothing about, no strategy at all. Do these guys even have a strategy? I don't think they do. I truly don't think they do. Nevertheless, you need to have a strategy if you want to engage in this competitive marketplace, okay? Honestly, what else can I say on this one? Brandon, you got anything else? Otherwise, I'm content to end it right here.
No, thanks, Felix.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Team Leverage Consulting. Now we're going to move on to Team CipherCore. Team CipherCore, your turn to rebuttal against the opening statement from Team Leverage Consulting. You guys also have 6 minutes, and your time starts now.
I'd like to start this off. Thank you, Leverage Consulting. We really appreciate your points, and thank you for being here. So let's start with the business and financial risks. You guys focus a lot on the business case, but the security enhancements still outweigh the possible risks, we believe. CyberArk reported a 41% year-over-year revenue increase in Q4 of 2024 and a 33% increase for the entire year, attributing this growth in part to its partner-focused strategy. We saw this within the actual economic statements and financial statements that CyberArk released. To address your point regarding market share, CyberArk's stock performance grew substantially with its partnerships. CyberArk stock rose 23% in 2025 following partnerships with Microsoft, Device Authority, and Wiz. As a note, the S&P average return is 10%, and knowing that CyberArk rose 23%, basically more than double, might not be entirely due to partnerships, but it can be significantly correlated and be significantly attributed. You additionally mentioned legal conflict, and SLAs, which are basically service level agreements, are a way to counter this. These are transaction-based and greatly beneficial to clearly outline who owns what. You mentioned the ownership aspect, and this is a clear counter. Basically, this will help you outline who will own the detection, the response, the remediation of the actual partnership. This is also important to understanding the actual legal combination between the two companies, as you mentioned, like an acquisition, I believe, or just a simple legal contract. And we believe that legal contracts perfectly work to actually integrate these collaborations. You also mentioned dual accountability. Service level agreements account for this, as they are actual legal contracts within the strategy, and they can be deeply discussed and resolved between the two companies. You also mentioned utilizing R&D cycles as an alternative. But if you leverage resources from another company, you really are diversifying your usage. During times of economic upheaval, especially with current tariffs, collaboration leads to higher commercial performance by offering a way to share resources, reduce costs, and diversify risk. And this also potentially accelerates innovation. Within security, when companies partner, they not only share innovation, intelligence, and innovation, but they also use that as a strength. You mentioned this as a weakness to share intelligence, but we really view it as a strength. I'd now like to pass it on to Azan.
Thank you, Brian. So adding on to these points, many of the concerns raised, such as ownership, intellectual property disputes, and integration challenges are valid concerns from a business and operational standpoint. However, it's important to distinguish these from the core focus of today's discussion, which is enhancing multi-cloud security. We're not advocating for unchecked expansion of partnerships, but rather for the continued use of strategic collaborations which have already demonstrated success, like the alliance between CyberArk and Wiz. These partnerships are not designed to add complexity, but to help organizations better navigate the security challenges that are posed by AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud environments. In fact, integration has been shown, when done strategically, to improve security outcomes, where a 2024 Gartner report found that organizations leveraging integrated identity and cloud posture management through trusted partnerships saw a 45% faster threat response time compared to other siloed approaches. And while the idea of maintaining full ownership may seem ideal, a 2025 McKinsey survey noted that 62% of enterprises rely on external cybersecurity partners to access specialized capabilities through quickly and cost-effective measures, resources that are often difficult to replicate internally. Also, concerns about dual accountability and governance are also real but manageable, as Brian mentioned before. Clear service level agreements, SLAs, transparent APIs, as well as strong policy frameworks can mitigate most of those coordination risks. Federal strategies, such as the US Cloud Smart Framework, even recommend using third-party expertise to help agencies meet these evolving security demands. Finally, while no system is immune to zero-day threats, collaborative intelligence provides distinct advantages, and the Cyber Threat Alliance reports that information sharing across partner ecosystems reduces containment time up to 38%, which helps prevent escalation of cyber attacks. As such, while strategic partnerships can come with many challenges, they also bring up measurable security benefits as well, where they are incredibly difficult to achieve if done alone. When thoughtfully structured, these collaborations support, not compromise, an organization's ability to secure its multi-cloud environment. Thank you.
I'd also like to add on, while my partner is on, did discuss this briefly, I'd like to really quickly emphasize on this. Companies working together not only improves like the company's performance and innovation, but it also improves nationwide innovation, which is really important, as not only as a company, but as a state, a society, and an actual government. This is important to enhancing security for everybody, and this also increases safety for the actual consumers.
All right. We are running a little bit behind schedule, but that is okay. We are gonna head into the second breakout room. So Krishna, if you don't mind, please separate us into our breakout rooms respectively. Okay, are we all back? Yep. Okay, cool. And now, last but not least, we are here for the closing arguments. We will start with Team CipherCore to start your closing arguments. You guys will have 6 minutes. Let me just get the timer again. Okay, your closing arguments are starting now.
Hello, judges, and thank you everyone for being here today. As we close this debate, we strongly affirm that strategic partnerships like CyberCore and WIS are our most effective way to enhance multi-cloud security. Let's start with visibility. Today's organization relies on multiple cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. This creates blind spots, but together, CyberArk and WIS provide a unified view across all environments. According to a 2025 report, 97% of organizations want unified cloud platforms because this proves the demand is real. Next, threat detection. Wiz identifies risky cloud permissions, and CyberArk acts instantly to remove access using zero standing privilege. This kind of speed and automation can stop threats before they escalate, something one tool alone cannot accomplish. Third, the skill gap. With 76% of companies lacking cloud security talent, partnerships help fill the gap. These tools simplify security and reduce any need of in-house teams. But it's not just about safety, it's also about business success. CyberArk's partner-driven strategy led to 41% in revenue growth in Q4 of 2024. That shows that partnerships aren't just secure, they're smart. Finally, shared partnerships means intelligence. Two companies working together leads to faster responses, better risk prioritization, and fewer blind spots. In the end, it's simple. We're strong when we work together. Strategic partners are the future of security, scalability, and smart cloud protection. Now I would like to pass it off to Isaac.
Thank you, Gio. So also thank you, Team Leverage Consulting for all their points. But however, we've heard your claims and your concerns about human error, patent risks, and data sharing, and also the fear that convenience compromises safety. But here's the reality. These risks exist in any cybersecurity strategy, not just in partnerships. What partnerships do provide is the structure, the expertise, and the visibility to manage these risks better. Let's address all of these claims. So human error is something you mentioned a lot. However, strategic alliances actually reduce human error through automation, streamlined tooling, and cross-checks between expert teams. This is why teams using Wiz and CyberArk integrations actually saw a 30% reduction in incident response time. And also you mentioned skill gaps. However, the opposition didn't mention how we would bridge these skill gaps, but we did. Partnerships are how we bridge skill gaps. They eliminate the need for internal engineering on highly technical tools and allows teams to act smarter, faster, and more collaboratively. So there's an example on this with the current Wiz and CyberArk collaboration. This collaboration allows CyberArk to focus more on developing a stronger cybersecurity framework in order to counteract all these threats. And Wiz allows the consumer to use these by allowing higher visibility and stronger a UI in order to allow them to actually counteract these threats. So basically, CyberArk is focusing more on the cybersecurity side, while Wiz helps make it more visible. And also, you mentioned patent and talent poaching. These are legal and HR risks that exist across industries, not reasons to reject collaboration. Robust NDAs, contracts, and shared governance frameworks already exist to handle these scenarios. You also mentioned data sharing and IP risks. This is also why organizations use scoped integrations, zero trust architecture, and shared security protocols, not to avoid a collaboration, but to make it safer and more effective. And something else you also mentioned was that partnerships could cause fatal losses. However, there's an example of this. A single unpartnered corporation suffering a fatal loss from a cybersecurity threat is Stolai Group USA. In late 2024, Stolai Group, a privately held company, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy with court documents and news reports citing a devastating cybersecurity incident as a major factor. The company suffered a ransomware attack that crippled its SAP Enterprise Resource Planning system, rendering its accounting and financial systems unreadable and forcing critical business processes into manual mode. The operational disruption was so severe that months later, Stolai's systems had not been fully recovered, and the company could not comply with lender reporting requirements. While concerns about risk and alignment are valid, they reflect a rigid view of cybersecurity in a world that demands flexibility. We've shown that strategic partnerships don't weaken CyberArk, they strengthen it. They offer speed, special capability, and shared intelligence that no company could achieve alone. This isn't about convenience, it's about resilience. In a threat landscape that moves in milliseconds, agility is security. Our approach isn't a single strategy. It's a framework designed to adapt, to integrate, and to lead. CyberArk doesn't need to stand alone to stay strong. It needs to stand connected with the right partners, under the right agreements, with the right oversight. That's how we protect clients today, and how we stay ahead tomorrow. The SolarWinds breach is often used as a cautionary tale, but let's be clear, it wasn't a failure of partnership. It was a failure of visibility and governance. SolarWinds wasn't a security alliance. It was a software vendor with unchecked access and no layered oversight. The lesson isn't to avoid collaboration, it's to build smarter ones. In fact, post-SolarWinds, both government and industry doubled down on partnerships because no one could tackle advanced threats alone. Partnerships done right are how we reduce blind spots and respond faster. That's not weakness, it's maturity. We're not advocating for convenience, we're advocating for capability. Modular, accountable, secure by design collaboration, not for ease, but to close gaps, to act faster, and to innovate responsibly. That's the future of cloud security. It's the future built through strategic partnership. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Isaac. And Team Cypher Core. Now we will have Team Leverage Consulting to provide their closing statements. You have 6 minutes, starting now.
Yes. Prior to starting a conclusion, we'd like to reiterate our thanks and appreciation for this opportunity. Our stance remains strong. We don't believe that thoughtful and strategic collaboration with other cybersecurity firms will be the most effective strategy for securing a multi-cloud environment at this time. The risks far outweigh the potential benefits. With a developmental strategy set in mind, a firm has the opportunity to expand its capabilities and offerings while retaining control of its IP, avoiding dual accountability concerns and unknown unknowns. Collaboration creates a challenge for firms to jointly go to market with revenue, cultural differences, and strategic misalignments, all serving as major challenges that could potentially open a firm up to unnecessary legal liability and risk. We acknowledge that no single firm can provide all the services needed for identity workload or DevOps security, and our opponents had mentioned the importance of a technical strategy when our angle had been developed from a business standpoint. And that's something that we recognize. However, with the right capabilities, resources, and talent, building an effective strategy for securing the multi-cloud environment in-house is by no means a far reach. To address this, why has CyberArk been so successful in the past without direct collaboration? Well, they maintain control over the key elements of success, our IPs, customer interaction, and only partnering with companies that have a similar vision. We have unique offerings, Venafi with the machine ID technology, Zilla with the AI identity access management solutions, Conjure for secrets management. We don't borrow capabilities, we create them. We're innovators. We already have success. Why ruin it? Why introduce that risk? While a collaboration may appear ideal financially, we disagree that this angle is the best for financial growth. Sure, a collaboration may be convenient and allow for an increase in visibility, but should that remain the primary focus on our strategy? We acknowledge that the final challenges of filling the gaps in the current firm's offerings, and we still ask, how will firms jointly go to market? What about revenue disputes, hidden debt from the acquired firms? Are risks like litigation, stock price fluctuation, and loss of consumer confidence worth it? Also, our colleague Isaac had stated that this isn't about convenience. But didn't Winnie say that one of the core 2 points of their beginning argument was convenience?
We've built our strategy through a resource-based approach, focusing on the concept of REN and how that concept will allow a firm to create and sustain their own competitive advantage. By utilizing in-house resources, we safeguard a firm's intellectual property, which could suffer from trademark and patent infringement if we were open to collaboration. There would be no time and effort spent on integration and zero disruption to service for our current customer base. Like we've stressed, no one knows what they do not know. Unknown unknowns. There are unknown 0 days, insider threats, and debt to keep in mind. The true cost of integration is not known until it's implemented, and integration can span over a long amount of time. At the end of the day, collaboration is not the most effective way to secure a multi-cloud environment. The strength, power, and reputation that would develop because of this strategy are far too costly to outweigh any of the benefits of building a secure multi-cloud environment in-house. To upkeep a firm's ironclad reputation and the top spot in the most relevant sectors of the cybersecurity ecosystem, building a strong ecosystem with the best resources and talent will be the best way to stand above the rest. Thank you.
Just to confirm, is this the end for the closing statement for Team Leverage Consulting?
Not quite.
Okay.
Give me a moment to gather my thoughts because there is so much to go over. What happens if a firm that we've partnered with, like Wiz, backs out? What happens if they get acquired by, say, a Microsoft or Google or an Amazon? What happens to your great partnership and all your gains there? Listen, the financial performance they talked about, we did this without formal collaboration. We did it with our acquisitions by being innovators. Look, the unified cloud platform can be achieved without outright collaboration. It just can be. And then, if I'm going to partner with anyone, I would rather partner with the government strategically, like DARPA, NSA. I get free tech support from the NSA if I happen to have a DoD contract. Having a secure in-house package security option opens you up to those lucrative contracts. And I don't mean in the United States. How about the European Union? How about parts of Latin America, Asia, Africa? Middle East. You think the Saudis aren't going to throw you millions if you have something good for them? They don't care what country you come from. They only care what works. And look, you guys all did hard work to get here. I'm actually really proud of you. I love watching your presentation, but I'm so disappointed right now because you seem to forget the bottom line. It's about the money. The money, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, it's about the money, the bottom line. You focus so much on the technical aspects and collaboration and visibility that you forgot it's about minimizing risk for your shareholders. You have a legal duty to provide value to your shareholders and minimize risk. You failed to do so. I expected better from you. I really did. Call it.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. So now we're going to head into our final breakout session. Just to let you everyone know, we might be going a little bit over than 5 minutes given to some technical difficulties, but still we should be still close to time. So Krishna, can we go ahead and just go to our breakout rooms? Thank you. And welcome back, everyone. Okay, so now we're at the session where the judges will start the questions, and we will ask each team to respond, or each team or separate teams, depending on the judges' questions, 3 minutes to respond to each question. Okay, the judge that's going to represent all the judges today will be Tim. So Tim, go ahead and ask your question, and then I will start the 3-minute timer.
Great. Thanks, Ashley, and yeah, thanks both teams. It was a lively debate and great points made on both sides. So I've got some questions. I think you're going to drill into some of your responses, and I'll give both teams opportunity to contribute. First, I'd like to open this one up to CipherCore. And my question is, do you think partnerships increase innovation or stifle it?
Okay, Team CipherCore, your timer starts now.
I could talk about this one first. Sorry. It's hard to communicate over the Zoom, but I believe, and our team believes, we discussed about this innovation. We think that having partnerships does increase innovation because, like the shared intelligence that we talked about, when CyberArk is partnering with another company, right, they're able to access not only intelligence, but also the technologies that the other companies might have. Like, for example, with the Wiz partnership, Wiz is able to actually identify the risks that correspond with certain situations, right? And they're like focused on that. So that's like their number one priority. And they're able to actually integrate that with CyberArk strategy. And so we think that because they're able to focus on such a specific and narrow topic or function, CyberArk is able to leverage that to make sure that both companies are innovating at the same time. Because theoretically, if CyberArk wasn't to work with a partner, they would have to do all that in-house innovation, and it would not only cost time, but also cost a lot of money. And we believe that if they are working with another company, right, they're able to work simultaneously. And CyberArk only has so many employees.
I would like to add on to that response as well by saying that they would also have shared resources, which would enable more innovation overall because of the greater capital and workforce that they currently have. And to bring this into an applicable example, say, for example, that you're driving alone, and when you're driving, you know they have blind spots in your mirrors. But in the case of collaboration, you could have someone in the driver's seat to look out for any blind sides when you're driving. Potentially, let's say, for example, you're making a right turn, but you don't see somebody in the right lane. Having somebody collaborating with you in the driver's seat they would point out this error and they would tell you that there is something there, so you wouldn't make that mistake, which covers those gaps, as we mentioned before.
Okay, with 50 seconds left, is there any final comments? Okay, Tim?
Yeah, same question to LeverageCore, which was, do you think partnerships increase innovation or stifle it, and why?
Mr. Mortimer? Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, so Team Leverage Consulting starting now.
Mr. Mortimer, that was a very good question, and I really appreciate you for asking. Let's break this down. My boilerplate answer is, like any lawyer would tell you, it depends. In this case, on corporate culture and the people involved. There is a free rider problem that exists in business, not just international relations and security studies. But if both teams are agile innovators, composed of self-driven team players, and they divide their efforts without deception or poaching or industrial espionage concerns or laziness or lack thereof, yes. Otherwise, no. However, my partner Brandon has a different opinion. I think he's more fond of partnerships than I am. Brandon, could you go ahead, please?
I mean, the thing is, I'd say only if the resources are written. Everything has to line up perfectly. And if it doesn't line up and you have one problem, one company that's carrying more weight than the other, then it's just not going to work.
In line with that, we're not against partnerships completely. We have a particular business strategy we're following. It does allow for partnerships that enhance VRIN resources if they're complementary, if they don't dilute our competitive advantage, if they allow us to exponentially increase our resources better. Yes, full-on collaboration could lead to loss of trade secrets. It could lead to loss of talent. I mean, we've covered this in our opening and our closer. I think it boils down to, it depends. It's just a very contextual situation. This whole business of cybersecurity is in flux, not only with innovations on the technological end, but the people involved, leadership teams, employees, etc. I think it boils down to, it depends, case by case.
Okay.
Brandon, do you want to add anything?
No, you summed it up nicely.
Thank you.
And so a follow-on question to leverage core and something you alluded to, Felix. So what type of organizations or entities, institutions would you be open to collaborating with, and why?
Team Leverage Consulting, your timer starts now.
First and foremost, culture and strategic visions need to be aligned. Wiz was perfect. Similar cultural backgrounds, similar corporate culture. I believe both involve being founded by military intelligence professionals. As an ex-military man, I personally admire the special ops and intelligence ethos because everyone takes responsibility, personal responsibility for a mission. They're goal-oriented, unconventional thinkers, their mission focus. It's not about who gets the credit, it's about getting the job done. I think that type of organization would be ideal for, say, a company like CyberArk. But even if we weren't talking about those type of companies, I think cultural and strategic vision is clear. It has to be aligned. Other players you might be able to work with, like, say, Palo Alto, what's it called? Palo Alto Technologies.
Yeah, the Prisma Cloud. Mm-hmm.
You can work with them, but it'll have more friction. You'll have to massage that relationship a lot more. You have to pay a lot of special attention to that relationship and the person who's involved. Let's talk about government. Since we're talking about collaboration, enhancing, securing cybersecurity ecosystem and multi-cloud in particular. You want to avoid things like antitrust concerns. So collaborating with certain agencies of the government, like national security. National security will always trump whatever the SEC has going on, especially when it comes to disclosure requirements and the threat borne by APTs. So, I mean, that's more of a case for lawyers like Mr. Dinkin. I'm not an expert in that area, but I think ultimately you want peace of mind, you want latitude when agreeing to collaborate with organizations like DARPA, NIST, NSA, CIA, and relevant DoD, DOE. Ultimately, we can't do this alone. We need the government involved. They are, whether you like it or not, if you're doing business in their country, you're gonna have to obey their laws. That means you're gonna have to collaborate with them one way or the other. Better to make it a positive collaboration, a mutually symbiotic relationship. Brandon, what do you think?
Yes.
From a
Also,
tech standpoint, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
You can collaborate with companies like Sneak, which does code vulnerability assessments, so that from the beginning you have this secure by design mentality. From when you're writing the code to deployment, your code is secure. And that would synergize well with Conjure secrets management that they already have. Also, you can work together with companies like Zscaler for zero trust network access and ServiceNow for governance, risk, and compliance. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
team.
Tim? Yes.
Yeah. So, similar question to the Cypher Core. So, what would you think a good partnership model would look like in an ideal world?
Team Cypher Core, you have 3 minutes starting now.
I would say a good partnership model for CyberArk as a company would be a partnership that allows both companies to like use their specialized products. So a current example of this will be an existing partnership between Wiz and CyberArk. So Wiz currently specializes in just making the visibility of CyberArk's products better, and it strengthens their visibility and gives them access to a lot of like different like sort of tools that they can use to strengthen sort of the consumer side of CyberArk's products. And this partnership is ideal because it allows CyberArk to innovate in their own specialty. So it allows them to focus directly on just their cybersecurity aspect of it, and Wiz can focus directly on sort of making their visibility tools stronger. And just an ideal partnership could be a partnership between like a AI company that allows CyberArk to just use their specialty combined with someone else's specialty, so both companies can innovate, both companies can improve on their own products, and combined together will make the overall product even stronger. So just a partnership that allows both companies to express their wishes and use their specialties to strong suits to make like a really strong partnership together.
Taking a more niche route, just to add on, especially with the rolling out of the CMMC coming from, I believe it was finalized in December of 2024, we do think there's potential for some higher partnerships to help capitalize on CyberArk being able to offer its offerings as a means to help other companies obtain that CMC cert to ensure that they are in compliance with the DoD, specifically in the scope of partnering up with a compliance consulting firm or potentially a managed security service provider that is focused more on the defense industrial base as a means to ensure that it is apparent to all potential vendors as well as potential partners going forward that CyberArk itself is making significant moves to ensure that it's always in compliance, and it is not just in compliance, it is the first to actually ensure that it's able to stick to these guidelines and be essentially on good terms with organizations such as the DoD.
Okay, thank you. And if there's no more points on that question, I think I'll have a follow-on question to CypherCore on that. What institutions other than Wiz would be good partners to help manage cyber risks for your clients and also manage some future technology challenges that are on the horizon?
Team CypherCore, you have 3 minutes starting now.
Yeah, so I can start off with that one. I would say that looking into some potential cybersecurity companies, they can consider partnering with CrowdStrike because CrowdStrike specializes in endpoint detection and response, which complements CyberArk's identity and privileged access management. And together they can provide an end-to-end protection from endpoints to identity, closing security gaps in lateral movement and credential-based attacks. So I would say they complement each other, and that's a really great way for them to both move in the cybersecurity space and kind of close any gaps and provide value for each other as well.
I'd also like to add on to that. Thanks, Gio. I think another great company would be HashiCorp, because I remember HashiCorp made a statement saying that about like 85% of organizations within like the cybersecurity space like reuse their secrets management, and that's really bad because uh, in the previous like I guess eras of cybersecurity, most credentials are like long term, right? And they live for a long time, so they're not really like being automatically rotated. But HashiCorp is really good in the sense that they have really automated security and really automated secrets management, because they're able to make sure that their customers are always getting new credentials and new ways to like log in with their actual identity, right? And we think that CyberArk, because they're so good at actually making sure that those credentials are safe and that the consumers are able to log in, HashiCorp would be able to take that other side of it, and make sure that consumers are getting really automated responses within their credential logins.
Okay, anything more to add? If not, I'll ask my last question. I think actually got to have one more.
Yeah, one more should do it.
Yeah. So Leverage Corp, if you can highlight, what are your top 3 risks of engaging with a partner, and then I'd ask a follow-up question to CypherCore of what measures you think you can do to manage those risks. So Leverage Corp, you go first. What are if you can pick, I'll let you mull it for a minute. The board, what do you think are the top 3 risks of engaging with a partner? And then CypherCore, your follow-up question would be what mitigations are there in place? And I'll repeat the risks that the Leverage Consulting team pick out.
All right, thank you, Tim. So Leverage Consulting, your timer starts now.
No problem. The first of the 3 that we want to address is the financial and legal liability. One example of this that happened is when Verizon acquired Yahoo in 2017, and they had agreed on a price, and then Yahoo just came out of nowhere like, actually, we have 2 breaches that we just forgot to mention. Oopsie, we affected, there's 3 billion accounts that are affected by this breach, and they didn't disclose the breach until, after the deal was announced. So we have regulatory investigations, class action lawsuits, massive reputational damage, all of which Verizon had to inherit. And, they negotiated a $350 million price reduction, but the damage is already done. I'd like to pass it off to Felix for the next one.
I mean, I'm a security studies guy, and just a quick note on that, I'm more on the covert ops insurgency side, so I'm always thinking about spy games, but intellectual property concerns, not even from malice, just oversights happen, mistakes happen. And disagreements happen. We're all human. Even when the lawyers write up the perfect agreement, there's always room for renegotiation and reinterpretation. Everyone has a take that's just as valid. And let's say we have a dispute over how much of our intellectual property went into making this product. You sort it out, you spend years doing it, by then the market has moved on. Intellectual property ultimately is my biggest one. Insider threat, I'm of course very concerned about, especially if there's misalignment in corporate cultures or major disagreements between the joint teams or even C-suite, middle management, everything in between. But it basically boils down to patent litigation as well. Unclear ownership rights, just keeping our intellectual property secure without being unable to work with others, I think is my second risk. As for the third, integration complexity. Everything will be perfect. Oh, sorry, just Brandon, we talked about last week about dual accountability and responsibility.
There's third and
roll that under complexity for me real quick. Go on.
Yeah. There's third and fourth party risk. So the just released 2025 Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report reveals that, third party involvement in data breaches has doubled from 15% to 30% in just 1 year. So the thing is, when you're outsourcing your security to a third and fourth part, how do you know, that they're handling it with the best of intentions? This kind of Oh, sorry. Sorry, there's someone in the background. I'm sorry. This collaboration expands the trust boundaries. And when you expand the trust, you're also expanding the risk. So that's another third thing that you can watch out for.
I'll circle back to integration complexity before I had that quick epiphany. It comes down to the basics.
Felix, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so sorry.
Those are great examples, but yeah, thanks. So I'll summarize those back, and then I'll give CypherCore the opportunity to talk about how they would mitigate these risks in their partnerships. But one was legal liability, so managing legal risks around the agreement. Felix talked about I'll summarize as data security. So controlling access to data, your intellectual property, managing the risks of insiders. So data security is the one other one, and then lastly, the team mentioned about complexity. But this is my focus. One's going to be about fourth party risk that they highlighted. So partners that your partners work with that you may not have visibility into and may not be managing the data in line with your practices. So, CipherCore, yeah, my question to you is how do you manage the risks within partnerships for legal liability, data security, and fourth party risk? And sorry for the background.
No problem, Tim. All right, Team CipherCore, your time starts now.
Thank you, guys. So I would actually like to respond to the risk of the first one, which is like the legal liabilities, I believe. So our team actually discussed this way back when we were discussing like if we're going to be on the con side, actually. And so we believe that when companies, let's say, run into a breach, right? For example, like I'm sure any cybersecurity company runs into these breaches all the time. They have to reach into their strategy and find a way to disclose the actual breach. We actually discussed the Target breach where they had to um, disclose their breach to their consumers and they didn't, and they were late to doing that. And then I remember they got sued for a lot of money. So our mitigation basically to this type of risk is kind of a framework between limited disclosure and like a full disclosure. So we believe that the consumers, they should be getting as much information as possible from these breaches without having too much of a risk to thinking that their reputation of the company that they're working with is, getting destroyed. So we believe that having a limited disclosure with the consumer would be a great mitigation for that, but also have a full disclosure between the actual government bodies, because the government bodies are going to be able to help with CyberArk and understand, what is the problem? What are we trying to do? What are the parties that are, interrupting or creating this breach? And we think that with that disclosure strategy, you'd be able to get over many of those, bumps within the legal framework. And then additionally, we mentioned this earlier, but service level agreements are great for actual frameworks to make sure that the company that, CyberArk is working with understands what their goal is and then what their action plan is going to be.
Thanks. So was that the first one, Brian, legal liability, or was that encompassing of all of them? So data security and fourth party risk?
No, I apologize. That was for the first one. The
okay.
legal.
So another team member want to follow up with about data security, insiders, IP.
Yeah, I can go into that for a little bit. So for like data security and IP, so something like there's a potential like risk of during like a collaboration partnership between companies. There's the issue of like data security and privacy, and something that can easily mitigate this is just explicit like ownership clauses. So when you form that partnership, you define who owns what, which data goes where. So you would say before that partnership, you just figure out the rights to everything in order to mitigate that risk of potentially having it like, later on brought out like in a lawsuit because two companies are fighting over like a right to this data or privacy concerns. So just like stating it explicitly in the contract before the partnership just mitigates that risk entirely. So it'll sort of clear the plate or like stop any lawsuits from happening just because it's already explicitly stated in the contract. And use of like just like data governance policies, you can go to the government policies just like determine whether or not data should be like used in a certain way. So just following like government policies that will help mitigate that risk to like data issues and privacy issues.
Okay. I believe that is all the time that we have. So thank you, teams, for your responses. Judges, thank you so much for compiling those questions. Tim, thank you for representing all of the the judges here for answering those questions for us. And definitely to our spectators in today's program, thank you so much for supporting the students during the final debate. For now, the judges are going to be ranking you guys, and and we'll tally up the final votes, and then we will be announcing it in sometime either later this month or next month. We haven't fully decided yet. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Sunday. May the 4th be with you, and enjoy the rest of your week.